I recently made a McDonald's on my Valheim server with a drive-through, dining area, and helpful staff. And all of this, including these signs, was built without any mods. You see, my server has an economy, and I thought this would be a great way to make some money. If you want to join my server, there's a link in the description, but for now, let's take a look at how I built this. As I said, I built this on my server, and if you want to see the full thing about how I got all the materials and stuff like that, I'll put a link to that video in the description. But today, we're just going to focus on how I actually built this. So first up, obviously, we had to flatten a large area of land and put down a load of stone. Now, flattening land is something that if you've been playing Valheim for a while, you'll know how to do. But if you do want a tutorial on how to do this as accurately as possible, there's a link to a video showing you how to do that in the description. Most of the front of this build is fairly self-explanatory. You can see we've got things like the heavy build stone pieces. So for example, like we've got these stone pillars here and the stone blocks coming across here to form the base and stuff like that. As for these wooden columns, all these basically are, if we get a hammer, you can see here, these are just the normal wood build pieces that go up like this. And then these columns, I just offset them a bit. So if you're wondering how to do this, basically you can see that I've placed this in the middle and there's no like snapping points or whatever when you get started. So if you use one of these wood beam 1 meters and you place them down on the floor, what you can do then is build off using the 2 meter ones just like this and build up. So that's how I did that to get that sort of spacing. Incidentally, on screen right now is the McDonald's build in real life that I was trying to copy, and that's where this idea came from. I do think this is handy though, because it gives a bit of like extra texture and depth to this part of the build, you know, rather than just being a flat wooden wall. Then obviously for these bits here, we just use these wooden floor pieces along the top. Now it is important to mention that because this doesn't have a traditional Valheim roof over the top of it, it will unfortunately be subject to weathering, and there's not really anything you can do about that unless you turn weather damage off in your world. Again, the drive-through area, pretty self-explanatory, just made enough room for a cart to get round and placed all the stone stuff on the floor here so it could go nice and smooth and flat and stuff like that. You can see here we got a menu. Obviously you could sell whatever you wanted, but I figured a muck shake had to be done, and a couple other things, which is also about the development stage I'm at on my server and what I had access to, because I'm doing all this, you know, in vanilla without mods. Then I use these sconces here for lighting. This is what I have access to at the moment on the game, but you may want to use something a little bit more fancy, like for example the Divergo wall lanterns. These would probably look pretty cool as well, but I didn't have access to these, which is why I used that. Now as for the signs, you can see we've got this big McDonald's sign right here and this funny little M thing, and then we've got the famous thing you see outside every McDonald's, right, the giant sign they have up in the sky. Once again, no mods were used for any of this, and in the video description I'm going to put a link to a video where I show you how to do all kinds of wonderful things with signs, so all the different sizes and colors and stuff like that you're seeing here. Essentially the way we do this though is by layering it. So we have a sign on the wall, and because this was a stone wall, I actually had to come out a bit, so let me show you how I did that. So our signs that are up on that area right there were built on stone walls just like this, and you can see in different areas. So I place a sign down, sometimes you get this overlapping bit of stone and it kind of hides a bit of the sign. It looked a bit rubbish. So to combat that, what I did is after the first one was placed, I just put down another one on top of it like that, and there's almost no area hidden right now. You can see up here, if you look really closely, there are a couple areas hidden, and if you really wanted to get rid of that, you could come out by a third sign, but that's just how I did it, and then put the red sign in. Then I put the M in front of it, so once that one was done, we'd build another sign here and then put the M on this one. So that's how you go about doing that. So the first sign, nothing on it. The second one was the big red square, and the third one was the M or the C or whatever else to do the McDonald's. I then use these wooden beams here, and they serve a couple of purposes. One is to give us something to attach this glass to, because as you know, you couldn't just have all of this wall glass without the wood. It needs to attach to something. And the other thing is to hold up the big stone that you're seeing above it, because obviously that does need a lot of support as it's quite a heavy build piece. Heading inside, you'll see this glass here. We've got these iron wooden beam things that go up, and also they go across like this. So on the top here, you can just about see it. If I get rid of some of this glass, you'll see it a lot easier. There we go. You can see I placed these iron beams across. Again, this is to give the glass something to stick to, you know, so we can actually place it down, and to hold up the big wooden beams that you're seeing. Sorry, not wooden beams, the big stone columns you're seeing above it as well. Once we're inside as well, you can see how I've placed the roof here. Now, again, this is subject to weathering, because if we actually fly around to the top here, I'll show you guys that I placed this wooden trim on it, and that was just so it looked nice from the bottom. It just seems to have a bit of a flatter edge and give it a bit of a nice wooden trim rather than just like random stone pieces that are at different heights and stuff. The inside bit, you could, if you wanted, you know, cover this in and stuff. I did play around with some different roof designs. Like for example, what I was trying to do at one point was if we get to the different roofs and stuff, was just place roofs down like this, right? So it would actually cover the inside here and not cause any rain to come in and protect the ceiling from weathering and stuff like that. But if I go back inside, you'll see the issue with this. Back inside, you can see how this straw kind of pokes down, right? So that was one of the issues that I had with it. And when, you know, just a few pieces doesn't look bad. When you've done the whole thing though, it looks pretty crap. Now there is a way around this. We don't have weathering turned on my server, so I didn't have to worry about it. But if you want to build a roof over this area here, you can. So the way you do this is just to make some sort of support poles like this, and you know, you can place this here like this or whatever, and then you just build the roof on top of it. So if we grab these roof pieces here, you could do this and, you know, place a bit of a roof that covers this whole area. I mean, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but you guys get the point. And that would just like save everything on the inside here from weathering. You would still have weathering issues with the extremities of the build though. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do about that unless you're willing to put a roof over it, but I thought it would kind of spoil the aesthetic. So then we have these drive-through windows, again, fairly simply done, just wooden beams and a bit of glass on either side, trying to copy as best as I could the real McDonald's, or Macca's as we call it here in Australia. Let me know what you call it in your part of the world. Everyone has their own thing. But yeah, did it just like the real ones where you order here at a certain area. Obviously that's just a grade off trophy on an item stand as our friendly little staff member. And then around the corner here, that's where you pay. So that's where all the prices and stuff are. People put their payments in here. And I just emptied this, which is why there's nothing in there. But I have had a few customers, so that's pretty good. On the inside, pretty simple here. A lot of it self-explanatory with things like the wooden floor and the little stone here to create a counter and stuff like that. Red and white, good McDonald's colors for the banners there. So just place them all next to each other along there just to give some sort of a backdrop. And again, people come in here and they can order things, and it looks like I've been pretty busy. Yeah, there we go. We're actually selling some stuff here. So yeah, I was making some money on the server, which is great. We even have a wall of customers. People can put up their names and things, and we've even been left a review. We've got a 5-star here. Good food and good service. Apparently those road offs have been giving us some good service. As for the tables and chairs, again, it is fairly obvious, but what I'll just do is show you this one thing, which is that I use these wooden floor pieces as the table. Obviously in Valheim, you do have a variety of tables that you could use. Some were like a little bit too big and Viking-y. Others were potentially a bit too small, I thought, although now I'm looking at this would probably have been better. So yeah, you could probably decorate the inside a bit better than I have, but different options there, of course. Now in the staff only section, if we go through here, you'll see we do have, this is where the staff are all hanging out. And I think I've been pranked because someone decided to put a load of rotten meat in here. I'm saying nothing. I'm not going to say anything about McDonald's. And I've got a slight inkling to who might have done this. I haven't even seen this on the server yet. I downloaded the world to make this video, but thanks for that. As for this big sign thing right here, obviously I've used core wood, and what I did is I just had ladders that I'd placed down and just built up to obviously get the sign that high, and then did some sign magic that I've mentioned before. That's you know, tutorial in the video description if you want to know how to do that. So quite a simple build, guys, but quite a fun one on the server. Again, if you want to join that server, there's a link in the description. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and if you want to see more Valheim videos, please do subscribe.